ladies and gentlemen, let's listen to JJ and Mr. I forgot his name. Let's see. Mr. Moganwa. Let's take a listen. Very interesting political views and stuff like that. Put it in the comments on what do you think about what they are saying and like the video.
The ANC is no longer the place where we should look for that leadership. So I wanted us to just like keep it tight and just tell us, because politics matter, right? Like, so the difference between what happens in China and what happens, and this is why I hate all this black bashing thing, right? Like, in the sense, in countries where there is leadership, you can see things changing. In Rwanda, you can see things changing. So where do we look? So just talk to us about the key political players. So where do you see the ANC going? And we'll just talk about the major ones and then maybe just like, some point talk about the smaller ones.
So let me frame it this way.
Yeah.
Just before the elections, I was probably the lone voice that was calling for a government of national unity.
Yeah.
And all these guys from Rise Mzansi who are now going into that GNU, both in the province here and in parliament.
Yeah.
BOSA, ANC itself, DA, etc. I had them on my show. And each one of them said, GNU, bad idea. I remember the Inkatha fellow, Tlabisa, saying, you can't bring the ANC via back door through a GNU. You have to be bringing them via the back door. So we're not going to be part of that. Right? All of them said all sorts of nice snippets. I played it later on after the GNU was in place.
Yeah.
Right? But why did I say you needed a GNU? Not this current one. This one is a concoction.
Yeah.
Not a GNU. It's a coalition, grand coalition between the ANC and the DA.
Yeah.
That's quite clear. Helen Zill confirmed that. I was saying that we are in such a crisis as a country.
Yeah.
That party politics won't cut it. People say, it's naive. How can we be? Blah, blah. But the same people have gone to a GNU of 10 parties anyway.
Yeah.
So my thing there was to say there are good leaders across the board.
Yeah.
Understand? I would bet on somebody like the Rise Mzansi leader, Songezo, anytime.
Songezo Zibi, yeah.
He's been through the furnace. He's been through corporate.
And Musi Maimani.
So I'll bet on a Musi.
Yeah.
Right? His politics may be different from mine. But it's somebody who, if they were put in cabinet, he will work.
Herman Mashaba?
I would bet on a Herman Mashaba.
Yeah.
I would bet
on we have a mix
on a Julius Malema.
Yeah, yeah.
On a Boysen Ndlozi.
Yeah.
Right?
Then you've got Malema, and then you've got Mr. Ndlozi. Oh, that would be a very powerful thing, my guy. Even though when it comes to Musi Maimani, sometimes, but I think if they can be these guys, if I can promise you, I agree with Mr. Kotane here. I agree with him.
Unfortunately, these people are in different parties.
Yes.
So they don't see each other like that. And that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Because actually, if you created a GNU that is not party political, and I know that may sound naive and whatever, right? The same way people thought it's naive that Mandela will be president. I always say this, And then people are saying, no, there'll never be a black president. I mean, that was a stupid thing for P.W. Botha to say.
Yeah.
But at that time, it was flavor of the month.
Oh, yeah. People were clapping.
You understand?
Yeah.
So people were clapping same way, right? To say, this guy is crazy. He's the only one here. There are 5 leaders here in their own rights who are saying GNU will not fly. Right? But my approach was to say, we're not starved of leadership across the board. There are leaders in... Look at what's happening in ESCOM.
Yeah.
2 years ago, people would have shown that if you put a black person there, you're going to be in darkness, literally.
Yeah.
Right? You got a guy there who studied in Macau.
Yeah.
He studied in Macau, studied at UCT. Being
They've
an
done an
engineer
amazing job there.
at ESCOM.
Yeah.
Is now at the helm of ESCOM.
Yeah.
Better than anyone
Yeah.
has been in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay? So
No,
I don't want
I'm
anybody
not
saying to me, it's doomsday, we will never find.
they've-
There are leaders. The
Yeah.
problem is that we are too much patronage driven.
Yeah.
And where does the patronage come from? It comes from a political party.
Yeah.
That's why people have this thing of deployment.
Yeah.
Right? And there's nothing wrong with cadre deployment, by the way. Right? There's only something wrong with how we have deployed cadres.
No. China operates almost
deployed
fully
the
on
worst-
deployment of cadres.
we deploy
but
the
credible,
worst people.
Qualified people. Absolutely.
Understand? You
Yeah.
get Dudumieni, may his soul rest in peace, right?
Yeah.
To go and run an airline, who has never run anything. Understand? And then you say they must run. SA is a 21 billion rand, well, last I checked, was a multi-billion rand company. Right? You give it somebody who can hardly run a classroom. Now, and this is just one example of many like that. You understand? You go into some of these parastatals, you wonder, why is this guy a chief executive? Why is this guy? In the municipalities is worse. In the whole of Northwest.
Yeah.
You know, I was listening to Madanga Commission. There was a guy who was testifying before the white guy there was testifying. There was another guy who came there who was testifying. And that guy, his title is Brigadier. And when I was listening to him like testifying, I'm like, what is going on? Why is this guy like? I was like, no, man, it cannot be. His testimony, I'm very sure that those commissioners, they were like, why is this guy here? You know, the testimony here, it was tried for that guy. They are like, he ended up, okay, I think it was an argument of, anyway, you can go and watch that thing, but I was so disappointed. I'm like, Mara, what is going on in South Africa? How did you get there, my guy? How did you...
Yeah.
Not one municipality got a clean audit. Right? Are you telling me that in the entire Northwest, there are no auditors, there are no qualified people who went to university, who went to study, who can be hired by those municipalities? No, but they are not cadres because, hey, how are we going to eat? You can't come and tell, hey,
But
you
this
can't
is-
just bring somebody here who's going to stop us from
But
eating.
this is why.
I actually said this in one of my videos. I don't know whether 2 videos, 3 videos, but I did mention this thing. When I was talking about the problems of South Africa, the question would be, guys, are you telling me right now that there is no one somewhere in South Africa, who can be able to solve these problems? Huh? In these state-owned enterprises, there was no one who was able or who is capable of running these things to success. There is no one here in South Africa who can be the president of South Africa and change South Africa. There is no one. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. The corruption that we see with the Moganwa Commission, the corruption that we see with the inquiry there with Msibi there, Songezo Msibi, under the portfolio committee of Scopa there. The corruption under RAF. People like what? There are no JJ is correct. Like we are seeing it. Sometimes, guys, I think these other things they are just intentional. People, they just want to put their friends in positions. They just want to put the people that they know. They just want to put the people that are in their party just to satisfy each other. Because you like a friend, you want your friend to be there so that you can eat together. It's no longer about making things right. It's no longer about working for South Africa. It's no longer about making the country better. It's no longer about changing things. It's about, yeah, my friend, come and eat. Come and eat. Come and eat. No, I will make a plan for you.
The ANC is contributing towards supporting this whole narrative of black people cannot lead, right? Like, which is utter bullshit because they have made it so difficult for the skilled people to participate because you're not a comrade, you're not a cadre, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I guess the question, I mean, I want to just ask this as brief questions on each of the parties. What happens of the ANC next?
I think he's got a point. He's got a point there. That's a very big point, actually. He says the party, which we know, I don't want to mention it, the party, they have made black people to look bad, to look like people who are not able to do the work. Why? Because they put people in positions, because it's cater what as he mentions it. In other words, hi, you are from my party, come, let's put you because you come from our party. It doesn't even matter whether the person is capable or not. It doesn't even matter whether the person is qualified or not. It doesn't matter even whether the person, has got he went through things there and ran some other things, and then you are like, this guy is capable because he comes from what he was doing, what. Look at Mr. Mukhupa there in the ANC. Mr. Mukhupa in the ESCOM there. You can tell this guy has done some work somewhere. You can tell this guy, he is here to change things, he's capable. Huh? But unfortunately, when the 1994 came in, people, they put their friends. And unfortunately, their friends were not able to do the work. Huh? They messed up this state-owned enterprise. And then black people, they were looked at as if like they can't do the job. It is because of this thing of employing people because they are from your party, what. This is not a job, what, man. This is South Africa. When you take a person, you put a person who you know in your hearts of hearts, this person will not be able to do this job at ESCOM, you put them there. You know that this person will not be able to do the job at the SAA there, and then you put them there. When they mess up, now it's a surprise. When they mess up, anyway.
Who do you see coming in and potentially rescuing it? Like, who's next?
Yeah. No, look, I think the issue is that I think the ANC thinks they need rescuing per se. They think that, they've got a clear propaganda about renewal and what have you, renewal song, etc. So they believe that if they get rid of some of the people they don't like, the new ones who will come will revive the ANC.
Yeah.
They really believe it. They don't believe that the ANC is finished.
That's crazy.
They don't believe it at all. Right? So if you think Paul Mashatile is not going to be president, tough on you. Right?
Panyaza?
Everything, no, he's not going to be president. He said he doesn't want to be. Why would he?
They always say that.
Oh, but he said clearly, no, but he had a good reason. Others say it because it's a nice thing.
What's his reason?
No, his reason was to say there's still a generation that must lead.
But it sounds like Motsepe.
He wants to be a president. He's right when he says there's still a generation because he's thinking about Mashatile. Maybe he's thinking also about who? Maybe Mbalula, I don't know. Yeah, Mr. Mbalula. He's thinking about those two people. He knows that after those two, okay, he is going to be next. It's not like it. I don't believe that he's saying he actually means that. At all, I don't want. I think he does. If tables can turn, well, he will take it if he was approached. Come on, guys, okay? If his branches, they come and say, hi, my guy, we want you to run. We'll support you. He will take it. There's nothing like that. I don't believe him. On that one, I'm very sorry, I don't believe him.
Is endorsing him. He's mentioning him a lot.
No, they were just in a meeting together, man. Don't exaggerate.
I know he's your friend, but
no. But Panyaza is a good leader. Let me put it out there. Panyaza is a good leader. I think he'll be a good leader of the ANC of the future.
I'm sorry for pausing. Sometimes, guys, I'm very sorry. When a person speaks about someone, and I find out and I hear that person somewhere, somehow, they are friends, or maybe they know each other, they have known each other. Whatever the person is going to say about that person, I'm very sorry. I'm not going to take it very serious. Okay? I will look at it from where I am. Whatever that person says, I'm not going to take it as a true gospel for sort of a thing. Like as he is asking him, he says, well, he is your friend, so that's what, like, for me, I'm very sorry. But if I find out that that person was a friend, it's shy for me. it's time for you. I'm not going to believe you in whatever that you say about that person. Okay? My view, because I don't know Mr. Panyaza, I've never met him, obviously. I don't think you can, like, even if I don't explain it, you know. One of the things that I think Mr. Panyaza is one of those guys who can lead. Okay? He can lead. He has his flaws, obviously. The Mapanyaza thing that happened, whatever. He has his flaws. And I like what Mr. Mkwanazi said. He said about Mr. Panyaza, when he was talking about the Amapanyaza, he said, Mr. Panyaza Lusufi started Amapanyaza, which was unlawful. But, he said, his intentions were good. Okay? Obviously, from where I am sitting, the first thing that I will have a problem with, why are you naming them Amapanyaza? That's the first thing. Because now it seems like you're making your brand. It's like you are branding it to yourself. It's like it's your thing, you know. I don't know, but that's the only problem I had. But I can definitely agree with Mr. JJ to say, Mr. Panyaza, from my point of view, I think I've spoken about Mr. Panyaza. From my point of view, Mr. Panyaza is a good leader. He can be a good leader for South Africa, I believe so, and he can lead. I think so, but I have this thing, and I have this problem of allowing people to grow until they are 50, and then that is when people they take the precedence. I want them to take now, while they are still fresh, they are still active, so that they can do their work properly. This thing of waiting, then we are waiting for Abomashatile, we are waiting for, I wouldn't mind, even though I don't like it. I wouldn't like it to have Mr. Mbalula as a president, but if it happens, you know. I wouldn't mind if he takes over, and then I know that after that it's Panyaza Lusufi. At least Mr. Mbalula is still young. Why are we waiting until people they are 50, 60, then they can take precedence? I'm just saying.
No, I have a lot of respect to Panyaza did well.
But he knows politics. He knows that knives will be out for him if he even gives a sense that he wants to contest. It's the God-given right to lead next. Okay, so if you look at the trajectory of the ANC leadership struggles, the deputies always made it. Right, and they seem to have it as some kind of a religion. A deputy must ascend.
So we must prepare ourselves for Paul.
No.
That's a given.
Paul Mashatile is going to be president of this country.
And do you see them then recovery we're going into local elections?
No, they found a formula not to recover. Because the GNU...
So you think they'll drop?
You see, because the other parties are unlikely to surpass 40-50. Right? So it means that the ANC, even in the next election, will still have a bigger block. I don't think they'll go way below 40. I think they'll still sort of hover around the 40.
I share the view. And interestingly...
And because of that, that they won't be 50, but they won't be 51, but they will still be the biggest party. It means that they still have another decade to be in power.
No, I share that sentiment. I think we are still with the ANC for a...
Do you think, guys, the ANC will survive this? Like the next elections? Do you think they will still remain for example, 40, 49 there? Do you think that will happen actually? I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm on the fence on this one. I really don't know. You know? I really don't know. And because this thing of renewal that they are doing,
good another 10 to 15 years. Interestingly, even if the ANC had to go to 20%, they are still the adult in the room. So in a way, anyone who wants to govern, they start with...
You have to talk to them.
You have to talk with the ANC. Because the rest of the people, and I've said this before, that
but maybe you don't want them to be at 20.
The ANC is at, what is it now, 40, whatever.
39.
The other parties, that means the other parties have got 60%.
Yeah, but they can't agree on anything.
They can't agree on anything.
Yeah. And
so, they all tell us that the problem is the ANC. So why don't you pull together your 60% and form government? They cannot. Right?
Yeah, that is part of the problem of May last year. That none of the sides were brave enough to take a decision, right, that would actually make sure that the agenda, in a sense, prevails. I don't subscribe to the Roy Ghafar and a green hafar. Honestly, I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
These people are parts of the ANC. It's like another cope.
No, it's all parts of.
You understand? These are all children of the revolution, right? Eventually, the revolution will clean itself.
And if you add their numbers together, they are still close to two-thirds.
Why didn't they put to a coalition like that?
Yeah.
Why? Because patronage is now cascaded into factions. It's no longer, all right, this ANC. Which ANC are you talking about?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, all of these parties, whether be it PAC, PAC has two presidents.
Yeah.
I interviewed the wrong president on my show, and others say, that's not the real president, you know. So it looks like all these parties eventually have little splinters and what have you.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem, that to put it bluntly, the black vote has been so dissipated that it will not impact.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas if you look at the white vote, it's more consolidated.
Yeah.
They're saying we're going to vote the DA. That's it.
But there's a good rallying cry behind the white vote, which is fear, right? Like, these people are about to mess your life up. Maybe that's also, let's talk DA.
Yeah.
I mean, ANC, I guess your views, we've got Paul coming. We've got another 15 years or so of the declining ANC, but continuing to be part of government. So that's simple. And hopefully the looting. I don't even think we are dealing with corruption now. We're dealing with looting. It slows down a bit. DA, what's your views? I mean, are they stuck kind of like where they are?
No, look, DA is stagnant.
Stagnant,
okay? It's stagnant probably by choice.
Yeah.
And why am I saying that? The DA had every opportunity, right, to elect somebody better than John Steenhuisen to be their leader, to take them into government.
Yeah.
But they decided to stick with what they believe works.
Yeah.
Okay? They had a fantastic mayor in Joburg here, Mpopalazi, who they did not support.
Yeah.
They let her die alone, literally. Even when she was being kicked out of office illegally, she had to go and fight that court case by herself.
Yeah.
They were saying, no, leave it, whatever. And then she won and came back, and then they were now surprised that, hey, this person is becoming too big for their boots. That was the leader they should have chosen, because she did contest.
Yeah.
I can tell you now, there are 20% who would have easily been 30 if they had a black leader, because there is a sense in which the black population is skeptical of the DA.
But they tested that, Prof, and it didn't work. I mean, under Musi, who was called the experiment. So the story is, when that happened, they started to, you know the story. So they lost some of the votes to the Freedom Front. And so therefore, when you are losing your traditional base for this promise of a black support that will come, and then, of course, the white base they were losing, that's also their source of funding, right? Like, if there's one thing about, white supporters of politics, they contribute financially. I think something like AfriForum, we've said this on this platform so many times, they generate an easy 30 million rand a month.
Let's separate that a little bit. I'm not arguing by any stretch of imagination that if you put a black leader, that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a black leader who can actually change the face of the DA, but also change its substance. Right? So what happened now today, where DA comes to announce a regressive policy, is exactly what's going to lose them more black votes.
Yeah.
Right? But if they were to understand these black people that are trying to attract and what matters to those people and put a black leader, they will be toe-to-toe with all the other black parties. True. Because the other parties won't say, no, but these people are talking about white privilege and so on. Yeah. So you need to analyze why the Musi thing didn't work. You can't say, oh, no, it's because of Musi. It's not. Yeah. It's because the DA resisted. Even when Musi was there, we had the whole policy conference. Yeah. If you asked, I used to make a joke of this. If I call 3 of the DA leaders or 5 of them and ask them about BEE, same question, I'll get 5 different answers about what exactly is the BEE. If I talk to Helen today, talk about BEE, and tomorrow I call John, they will not tell me the same story. And I have proved that. And if anybody wants to challenge that, I can go to my interviews and prove to you. When Mashaba was DA mayor, when I came to, he was even worse. When I asked him, but tell me about BE. He says, no, how can I talk about BE when people are starving in Alexander? I said, you see, can we put the conversation at a high level, please?
Yeah.
Can you tell me about economic empowerment? Don't tell me about the rest of Alexander.
So John will probably get out of the role. They will probably not find a black leader.
Yeah.
So it's just keeping it where it is. Helen,
the DA,
mayor for Joburg.
No, she won't make it. The DA is stagnant.
That was quick, Prof. Why?
Yeah, the DA is stagnant.
Yeah.
Right. Unfortunately, Joburg or Gauteng is a center of consciousness.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is where the Soweto uprising happened. This is where people were killed in Huipatong. This is where people were killed 21 years ago. There, is it Pimville?
Yeah.
Right. This is a center of consciousness. I think that all that Zille has done is to provoke people who
Sharpeville.
Yeah, Sharpeville. Yeah. Provoke people who vowed never to vote again, to say not on our watch.
Yeah, she's 70.
So she can forget it.
72.
She must start playing with her grandchildren. She will, and I can tell you one thing, right? Despite all the noise that she can make, she's a bloody hypocrite. Zille. She's one of the worst hypocrites of our times.
Yeah. Why you say so?
Because everything is about what she believes on that day. You understand?
Yeah.
Can you believe that Helen Zill just less than a year ago was saying Ramaphosa must go to prison for Palapala? And then turns around. It's one thing if you keep quiet and just shut up because you don't want to say the wrong thing. But to actually verbalize saying we've just voted for a president. We cannot impeach a president we just voted for.
Yeah.
And I must forget what she told me a year ago saying Ramaphosa is a crook. He must go to prison. The Constitution must stand and so on.
Yeah.
The same person says, we must respect the Constitution. I ask her, but Zille, why would you say that the president can't fire Kwahobe? Surely the president can. The Constitution says he's got the power.
Yeah.
No, he must talk to me. And he had forgotten that earlier in the conversation I said, by the way, people are saying you are the actual prime minister.
Yeah.
And she said, no, it's not the case.
Yeah.
Hardly 15 minutes in the conversation, she's saying, no, Ramaphosa cannot fire Kwahobe. He must try.
I've seen one of her recent interviews where she says, and she says this with a straight face, to be a candidate of mayor of Joburg, I applied, I was shortlisted, I went through a very rigorous.
This is what we call insufferable.
I'm like,
I called that roasting, they call me. They thought I was coming to joke. I said, you are an insufferable hypocrite. Zille won't make it. If any of us have something to do with it, she won't make it as mayor of the city. The DA must give us a proper candidate and not insult us.
Yeah.
Right? In a country that has suffered as we did.
Yeah.
Right? To give us somebody to shove Zille down our throats. I think they are really undermining our intelligence. But it's also a provocation to all the parties. They must give us proper candidates.
It is.
I think Mashawa must go back and stand.
I think that's what I was
he must go and stand.
to. I think Mashawa must stand.
Because it's Zille who pushed him out anyway. So he must come back.
He has not announced a Joburg candidate.
No. He must stand. He must stand.
Who's the guy? Kolani?
Yeah.
The
one who
Mojalaf.
The Mojalaf guy.
Yes.
Yeah. No, good luck to him.
I'm gonna be his Joburg mayor.
TV doesn't always translate into votes. That's why I'll never stand. So the DA is stagnant.
Okay, so one of the things when it comes to Miss Zille, I don't want to lie to you guys. That was a bad move for the DA. I don't think the DA, and I don't want to use wrong words, but I don't understand why would they go for Helen Zill. I don't know, guys. No, like it shows you that people, they are not thinking. Like people, yes, they are allowed to think, but I don't think whatever that they are thinking, whatever suggestion they might have in the DA, they will just allow them just to put it. Do you think, Mr. Msimang, if you were to ask him in the corners, do you think Mr. Msima will actually say the things that he said before? Because he was in one of the podcasts in South Africa debating this thing. And then he says, yeah, no, Joburg, it doesn't need an experiment. That means it doesn't need somebody who is going to be experimenting. That will mean if a young person goes there and start to be a mayor there from the DA who is younger, and then it's experiment. I was like, Mr. Msima, you are young, sir. You are a politician. Are you telling me that you yourself, you don't trust yourself? You don't even trust yourself, my guy. How do you think? I don't understand what is going on with the DA, especially with the mayor thing. They are going to shoot themselves on the foot. I can promise you right now. And I am hoping that Mr. Mashaba contest. Go in, say. Let's see who's going to win. And I am definitely sure, looking at what Miss Moya is doing in Tshwane, Mr. Mashaba can do a great job in Joburg. I can promise you that. He can. Not people like seriously. She had a chance, guys. Come on. I wouldn't mind to have somebody from the DA who is younger, a young person to take over the thing. I wouldn't mind. That would be a great thing. But we can't be always going. There was a country in Africa that allowed the president who is 90. I don't know whether it's 90 or it's 90 something. That was brought back into precedence. I'm like, Africa, you guys are... Anyway, it's okay, ladies and gentlemen. You can go and watch that. The whole conversation. It was a very interesting one. You know, when Mr. JJ is there, you know, and it's a good one because... you know, the arguments, they were so interesting, and they were talking about everything and anything in politics, you know, and all of it. Thank you guys for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel.